Hello, students. Welcome to IELTS Insider. We have a very special class today. It is about IELTS reading, and you can see the title Essential IELTS Reading Skills, Skimming and Scanning. So that's the topic today. Uh, I'm wondering if you can hear me well. Just give me a message telling me you can hear me clearly, or do I need to increase the volume quickly? I was adjusting my mic earlier. So these skills, very, very important for the reading part of the IELTS test. Now, the reading part, there can be three reading parts or three sections in the reading part. And time is very valuable because you have to answer the questions. You got to read and answer the questions. So these skills will help you to read quickly and find the information as quickly as possible. Okay, just before I begin, I'll just check the chat to see the great students that showed up for today's class. Salama, Sleepwalker, Anna Maria, Kumar, Lavanya, hello. Welcome, students. Kelly, hello. This is my first class about IELTS. Well, if this is your first class, uh, this might be a little bit difficult because James and we did some live streams earlier or last week. Those were a little bit easier. We're starting to get a little more difficult, but you're welcome. Layla. All right, I'm just quickly. We can hear and see you. I know you can hear and see me, but can you hear and see me well? Hello, teacher Anna Maria. Hello, teacher. All right, welcome. Welcome, everyone. All right, so what's going to happen? Here, what's a better? Okay, this might be better. So we're going to talk about these skills. What is skimming? Tips on skimming. What is scanning? Tips on scanning and practice. We're going to practice skimming and scanning with IELTS excerpts. And then we're going to have a little bit of homework. So it's a lot to do. Now, I should say skimming and scanning. If we go back here, very important word is skill. These are skills. That means you have to practice and train yourself on these skills. All right. These skills are not something that naturally come, maybe to some students, but for most students, you have to practice these skills. Practice again and again so you can find information a lot quicker when you take the test. So, what is skimming? Tips on skimming. What is scanning? Tips on scanning. Practice. We're going to practice skimming and scanning. And when we get to the practice part, that is not easy. Warning, this is a little bit difficult. And we're going to practice with excerpts. Excerpts are small pieces of. I can't give you the whole IELTS test today, but we'll look at small pieces of the reading. Those are called excerpts. And then homework. All right, so what is skimming? So you have a large passage, a lot of text in front of you, and the clock is ticking. So sometimes you don't have time to read everything. All right. So very important. Skimming is, quickly reading. Your eyes are moving fast. So reading and you're searching when you get the text or the passage in front of you, You're reading only for main ideas within a passage. The passage would be the text. To get an overall impression or general idea of the content of a reading. So when you're skimming, you're just looking, what is this about? Okay, what is this about? We don't necessarily need all the details. We just need to know, what's this about? What's the topic? And some questions on the IELTS, of course, they're just asking you general questions of, what is the topic? What's happening? An overall question of the passage. And of course, skimming will save you time because you're not reading every word. All right, you're just quickly looking through it to get your information to answer the question. And skimming will help you locate the information you need to answer the question quickly. All right, I'm going to check the chat before I move to the next slide. I recommend to watch previous videos. They are useful. Thank you very much. Skimming, I think, when you can read something in a fast way and understand it. Yes. I'm sure you do this in your own language too, but of course, in English, you have to practice. I usually use this one, skimming. Skimming is look through. I don't want to give it a simple title like look through. Skimming is a very special way of reading. Uh, I don't want to use glancing. That's too weak of a word. So I think the best word is skimming, and just learn the word skimming as a kind of looking through, searching for information. All right. A few tips on how to skim for the IELTS test. So, number one, on the IELTS exam, read the questions first. This is very important when you're taking the IELTS exam or test. You're going to have the reading, and then after the reading, or you have the questions there. Read the questions first before you read. Read the questions first, so you know when you're reading what information you are searching for. All right. Always read the questions first. And then you're reading just to answer those questions. To read the title, of course, that's basic. The title often gives you a big clue what the topic of the passage you're going to read. So that's kind of obvious. 3, read the introduction or the first paragraph. All right. So usually in any reading, the first paragraph is the introduction, and that will often tell you what the topic of that reading is. 4, if now you read the first paragraph and you want to keep going, read the first sentence of every other paragraph. Okay, the first sentence of a paragraph is usually the topic sentence. So when we're writing the first sentence of a paragraph, that's a topic sentence. That's a sentence giving information about what is in the paragraph, usually. Read any headings or subheadings. So these, you have the title, but sometimes you have a heading, which is like a smaller title or a subheading. So this often gives you clues what the text is about. Notice any pictures or charts or graphs to help you understand what the text, the reading passage is about. And notice any italicized or bold-faced words or phrases. Italicized means, when you have text and it's slightly slanted, this usually means that word is special. Or bold-faced. When a word is bold, usually that means a word is special. So, for example, you have a passage, you have 30 seconds, 1 minute to figure out what's this about. So you got to start skimming. Read the title, If you have time, read the first paragraph, read the first uh, sentence of every other paragraph, keywords, charts. Very quickly, you have to decide, okay, this is the topic of this paragraph. And we'll get to an example later. Remember, time is very important. You got to it's a skill. You have to practice it to get better. If we understand the question very well, that will help us a lot to express our answers in a proper way. Well, yes, the questions, when you know the question, you know exactly the information you need when you're reading. Now, when you know the question, sometimes you don't need to read the passage. Sometimes skimming and scanning is enough skill, or the two skills is enough to answer all the questions. So you might have a long passage to read, but if you have good skimming skill and good scanning skill, you don't have to read the whole passage. You can quickly get the information you need with these two skills. Could you please simplify a little more subheadings? So we have a title, which is the main heading, we'll say, and then sometimes paragraphs have subheadings, like there'll be a mini title above the paragraph, and then sometimes another heading, a smaller heading, uh, if there's another information in that paragraph. I wish I had an example. This is a good question. Maybe in a future live stream we can go over titles, headings, and subheadings. That I don't have it in my examples today. I don't have any headings or subheadings, so I'm not going to worry about that. I guess skimming isn't good for reading contracts and science. You never want to skim a contract. That's the worst time to do skimming and scanning. A contract you want to read in detail, every word. We need to make a global idea before going deep on reading. Well, what do you mean global idea? A general idea. Uh, as I said, you don't on the IELTS. Uh, you want to avoid deep reading. All right, so deep reading. I guess you're meaning you read everything and you want to understand everything that the reading is talking about. Don't do that. I would highly recommend no intensive reading of whatever passage in order to understand the whole passage. You are just there to get the information you need to answer those questions. So a lot of the time, you don't have to read the entire passage. You just need to read the paragraphs that have your information. There's paragraphs that have no information that you need. Don't waste your time reading those paragraphs. All right, so that's skimming. Scanning. Again, scanning is quicker, quicker than skimming. Uh, Deep reading, you don't have time. Skimming and scanning, as I said at the beginning, are essential skills. These will save you a lot of time. Sometimes, yes, you have to focus on the entire passage sometimes, but a lot of the times you don't need to. You just look at the questions. That's the information you need. You go back, you get the information. All right, scanning. Scanning is quicker than skimming. So scanning is used when you want to find specific or detailed information quickly. So skimming can save you a lot of time, but scanning can save you really a lot of time. And scanning will help you locate keywords or specific data quickly. So a few tips on how to scan. So again, on the IELTS test, read the questions first. Uh, know the specific information you are looking for. So if a question says, "What is the professor's name?" You know, when you go to the text, you're looking for a name. That's it. You don't have to read all of the passage. You just need to quickly, where is a name? There's a name, and then you can answer the question. So know the specific information you are looking for. That means check the questions before. Try to anticipate. There's a good word to learn. Try to anticipate how the answer will appear in the text. So anticipate means guess. Before you read it, you take a guess. Okay, you're going to expect what the answer is going to be look like. So what that means is, if the question is asking, uh, what year did this person graduate university? So the question is asking what year. So you know the answer to that question is going to be a year. So when you go to the passage and you scan quickly, shoot, shoot, you're only looking for a year. That's what you anticipate the answer will look like, a year, and you find it in the text very quickly, and then that's your answer. Uh, so again, use headings. Those are the subtitles, and any other aids. So anything else that can help you, that will help you identify which sections might contain the information you are looking for. So in the IELTS reading, they can be very long. So you can't read it all. So you got to look for clues where, if he graduated in 1992, okay, you got to quickly, which section is talking about graduation, or and find that section and then look for the year 1992. Okay. So when you're reading, you got to look for all these clues. We're going to practice this in a moment. And number 5, selectively read and skip through sections of the passage. So again, very important. You don't need to read everything. You can skip large portions of the text. Just skip it. Don't even read it. All right, we're gonna get into practicing skimming and scanning. I'm checking the chat. Everyone is quiet here. Let's see. Yeah, everyone is quiet with the skimming and scanning. Well, we're going to practice that. I thought the meaning of scanning and skimming are very similar, but now I just knew they were different. Well, they are similar. Your eyes are quickly moving. You're not fully reading the passage. Your eyes are quickly moving, looking for some information. Skimming is more about the idea, general idea or a topic, and scanning is specific details. We are listening. Thank you. It's good to know I'm not always talking to myself. All right. As I said, I cannot put the full text on the screen. So I just took excerpts, small pieces from IELTS readings. And we didn't really talk about IELTS reading in detail yet, but they are difficult. All right. IELTS readings are trying to give you information you never saw before. Even for native speakers, they can be difficult. So let's jump to the reading. All right. So this is just a sample, small excerpt of an IELTS reading. And I took away the title. You don't see any headings. So it's just the words on the screen, and you're going to be, oh, there's so many words. Now, the first thing we do is we don't look at this, we go to questions. And I'm going to start with scanning for details. We'll do the skimming later. So right away, we go to the questions. And question 1 says, The Shining was written by blank. All right, so right away, your brain is thinking, what is The Shining? What's your guess what The Shining is? Well, we have our keyword written, so we know it must be an article or book. I happen to know it is a book. A Sleepwalker there knows too. So Sleepwalker has some background knowledge that will help him. Anna Maria knows a book. So that helps. You know, okay, I'm looking for a book, and Sleepwalker already has some information. He knows who uh, who she's looking for. This is so you only need that information. And number 2, our house, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, university is in. Now we have the preposition in. What comes after the preposition in? Well, usually it's going to be a city or a country. Okay, usually. So, okay, we know number 1, we're looking for a name. Number 2, we're looking for a city or country. And number 3, Matthias Klassen studies in literature. All right, so this one's not so clear what we're looking for. So, but we have a name, Matthias Klassen. So right away for our scanning, we looked at the questions. Now we're going to go back to that text, and I'm going to give you some time to get the answers. So we're looking for who wrote the book, where is that university? So name, person's name, city or country, and look for Matthias Klassen and studies what in literature. That's the information we have to find. We only need this information. Do not spend your time reading the passage. You quickly scan to get this information. Are you ready? Maybe I'll put that on the screen for 30 seconds. If you're on a small phone, good luck. All right, here we go. Here, I'll put it full screen. And I'm going to go back. So who name, city or country, and Matthias Klassen studies what in literature? When you have your answer, put it in. And I'm still here, but I'm not. You're just quickly scanning for that information. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds, so you do not have time to. And okay, that's all I'll give you. So what do you got? You had to scan it. You didn't have time to read it all. You didn't have time to understand it. That was not important to understand what was written there. All you need is this information. Hello, teacher. Hello, everyone. Hello, Eunice. All right. S. King. S. King is not an answer. What is the name of the person? It's a little tricky. That's why it takes practice. It's a skill, but a very important skill. Quickly. Sleepwalker. S. King is not a proper answer. You need the name. And number 3, studies monsters is not the answers. You cannot put studies. You can, for usually you can put one word, sometimes 2 words, but generally one word. And already there's studies. So number 3, you cannot say studies monsters. Remember, this is the Ielts. They're serious, right? So anyway, if it was the actual test, Sleepwalker, of course you can go back and check the spelling, and of course, actually these conditions are probably worse than the actual test. All right, so let's go back quickly. So we can see Stephen, right away. I see The Shining and Stephen King. That's all I need in his novel, The Shining. So right away, The Shining was written, and then you would write Stephen King. Yeah, don't worry. I know you guys are doing great. Our house university is in. So again, I'm looking down there. Second paragraph. I'm looking for our house. Our Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Our house university in Denmark. Right away. So I know it's Denmark. So some of you already knew that. And then Matthias Klassen studies in literature. So if I go back, I'm looking for the name, Matthias Klassen. I see that in the second paragraph. Matthias Klassen, assistant professor of literature and media at Aarhus University in Denmark, who studies monsters in literature. There we have it, who studies monsters in literature. So that would be our answer. The Shining was written by Stephen King. Aarhus University is in Denmark, and Matthias Klassen studies monsters in literature. We did not have to read that paragraph or those 2 paragraphs to find this information. We used only scanning. That is a skill that's going to save you time on the test. How's scanning? How's your scanning skill? All right, skimming. What's the general idea? Now, this is going to be this might be difficult too. This excerpt is talking about how to hunt monsters, that monsters don't really exist, how monster myths play a role in our imagination. So we have to, what is this? What are these 2 paragraphs talking about? So we're going to go back. I'm going to give you some time, and you have to choose one of these. You're not going to have time to read it all. So you got to skimming. Very quickly go through it. Look for keywords to give you an idea of what this paragraph is about. So is it how to hunt monsters, that monsters don't really exist, or how monster myths play a role in our imagination? Here we go. I'll give you 20 seconds. Maybe some of you already gave up. That's a lot to remember. This is just a sample. This is not the full text. What do you guess? 1, 2, or 3? What's the answer? come back. Hello. Was that excerpt talking about how to hunt monsters, that monsters don't really exist, or how monster myths play a role in our imagination? And Layla, Anna Maria, Layla says, I can't catch the answer. Yeah, Layla, I'm because I'm doing a live stream, I can't give too much time, right? I can only give about 30 seconds or a minute. But on the test, you will have more time. But again, it's a skill. You want to speed up getting the information quickly. Anna Maria says 2 and 2 and 3. All right. So I'm going to go back. So I'm going to go skimming through this, looking. So this is how I would do it. All right. Second paragraph. I see the first sentence. They don't really exist, but they play a huge role in our mindscapes, in our dreams, stories, nightmares, myths, and so on. So, right there, that second paragraph, first sentence gives me a lot of information. It gives me all the information that helps me to. And then, if I look at the last sentence, monsters say something about human psychology, not the world. So, for me, the skimming, the first sentence of the second paragraph, they don't really exist. So that tells me we're not hunting monsters, but they play a huge role in our mindscape, in our dreams, stories, nightmares, myths, and so on. So when I go back to the questions, is the excerpt talking about how to hunt monsters? No. That monsters don't really exist? That's possible, but the best answer would be number 3. How monster myths play a role in our imagination. Because we have the keyword myths, mindscape, dreams, nightmares that's related to imagination. And everyone here is going, I can't do this. Don't worry. You would. I'm quickly jumping back and forth, and you're probably looking on your phone. The conditions are not great right now. It says monsters don't exist, but they're part of our mindscape. Monsters lurk in the deepest recesses. So that many academics agree that monsters lurk in the deepest recesses. They prowl through our ancestral minds, appearing half in our ancestral minds, not really. I read scientific articles in English, but their level is too high. How can I take advantage of that, Robin? Reading is a skill. You want to improve your reading, you have to keep reading, keep practicing. I have taught many students who have had to read scientific articles because of their research. The more you read, the easier it'll become. So if you need to read scientific articles, you have to keep reading them, practice. We need a lot of practice how to scale. Yeah, it's a skill. I don't expect everyone to be perfect with this lesson, but it's something in the future lessons when I get into more detail about reading and I say, let's practice some scanning or let's practice some skimming, you know what to talk. You know what I'm talking about. We don't have time in the exam. Well, you would have more time in the exam than me right now because I only gave you 30 seconds. So certainly skimming and scanning, you can get all the information you need sometimes by just skimming and scanning without reading all of the text. Reading all of the text sometimes is just a wasting your time. You just need the answers to the questions. How much time do we need to scan a paragraph such as this one? Uh, well, this is not the full text, right? So you'll get 3 text. Let's see. I'll put the information here. There's 3 reading passages in 1 hour. So you have to, there'll be 3 different passages or text you have to read. They're different styles. And you have 1 hour to get through that and answer the questions. So 40 questions. You can't waste time reading in everything. Read what you need to read, nothing more. OMG, I practicing more. Yes, always practice. Everything we do in English, we got to practice. So we're always trying to get better. We're always trying to improve. It's a difficult test, Anna Maria. They're looking for people who can do it. All right, let's practice some more skimming and scanning. Now, here is another text. Now, right away, we can see there's special things. We see an underline, we see a different color text. But again, first thing we should do, go to the questions. Go to the questions. Don't start reading. Never start reading without checking the questions first. So number 1, Mr. Kenmure is from. Okay, so from you okay, maybe we're scanning here, so probably I'm looking for a country, right? That's my guess. Neil is a good at remembering. Oh, there's a typo there. Neil is good at remembering something. And aphantasia means people cannot visualize something. So this is the information we're going to check. Mr. Kenmure is from somewhere. Neil is good at remembering something. And aphantasia means people cannot visualize something. This is the information we need. So you got to find Mr. Kenmure, where he's from. Neil, is that the same person as Mr. Kenmure? I don't know, but you got to find Neil and remembering. And aphantasia means people cannot visualize something. Are you ready? Here we go. You do not have time to read it all, so look for the key words. I'm still here. Where is Mr. Kenmure from? And Neil is good at remembering what? And aphantasia means to visualize All right. So Mr. Kenmure is from. So Layla comes in with Lancaster. And Salome, two facts. I'm mixing up the, okay. All right, Sleepwalker right away has all three Lancaster facts, mental images. And you gotta make sure you have correct spelling. I know you got to check the spelling. Spelling is very important. Always make sure you have correct spelling. Eunice, I'll get to your question in a moment. Okay, Lancaster facts. So if we go back, all right, so we're scanning. Now let's look right away at the underline. Okay, underline. That must be important. It says unable to visualize mental images. Unable to visualize mental images. So, whoops, not. So number 3, aphantasia means people cannot visualize and then mental images. All right. And then the next question, or the question one, Mr. Kenmure is from, we're scanning. All right. Second paragraph, first sentence, Neil Kenmure from Lancaster. So Lancaster would be the answer there. And number 2, Neil is good at remembering. And if you look at the third paragraph, remembering is a different color. Now on the IELTS test, it's not going to be a different color. But it might be bold on the IELTS test. It might be bold or something. And Neil admits some aspects of his memory are terrible, but he is very good at remembering facts. So facts is the answer. So we did not read the paragraph. We just quickly scanned, got that information, and we answered 3 questions. All right, I'm going to go to Eunice's question now. Robin, I read scientific articles in English and their language level is too high. How can I take advantage? You don't want to say take advantage of that. How can I improve? Yes, start at your level. If you don't need to read scientific articles yet, I would suggest you start at a lower level and just keep reading. If scientific articles is important in your future, you need to start reading every day. You need to increase your reading skill. Reading is a skill, so that's improved with practice. You know, if you don't read and then just one day you just start looking at a scientific article, it's going to be difficult for native speakers to look at scientific articles. It's difficult for me. It's got to be something you practice, you know about. All right, let's move on to the skimming question. This excerpt is talking about, okay, we have 3 choices. Is it talking about a terrible disease called aphantasia? Is it talking about understanding living with aphantasia? Or is it talking about how to cure aphantasia? All right, so I'll give you 30, 45 seconds. It's not much time, sorry, to skim that and kind of get the general idea. Is it talking about a terrible disease? And again, 1, 2, 3 might all be correct, but there's always one that is more correct, better. All right, there you go. I'll put it full screen. You are skimming, trying to get the general idea, looking for keywords. I am here. I am hoping you are skimming. If you're trying to read every word, that is not skimming. All right. What is your answer? I'll give you a chance to. All of you are already put your answer before the skimming section. You keep the same answer, number two. Well, I'm going to go back. How would I skim this? I'm reading through this. Uh, the last sentence. The last sentence says, "Yet he does not see aphantasia as a disability, but simply a different way of experiencing life." So that last sentence gives us a lot of information. So it's not a disability; it's a different way of experiencing life. So number one is definitely not the answer, and number two would be a good answer for that. Number three, how to cure the excerpt didn't talk about medication, didn't talk about exercise, it didn't talk anything about a treatment. Uh, let's see. No, it just talked about living. So number two would be the correct answer. That's the general idea of that excerpt. Number two, understanding living with aphantasia. Yeah. So there wasn't you would be looking for keywords like treatment, medicine, uh, exercise, food, diet. There was nothing like that. So we know it's not talking about a cure. Terrible disease. Now, they they do have the word terrible. If you look in the third paragraph, terrible. Terrible is there, but it's talking about his memory, not the illness itself. So the word is there, but it's not connected to that question at all. So don't be confused. If they put the word there, but it's talking about something completely different. So yeah, number two. All right, I have one more. This is the paragraph. Again, we go right to the questions first. Scanning the questions. Number one, the blank cartel is one cartel trying to bypass the border. All right. So when you see a question, you might not understand uh, this question. You might not understand cartel. You might not understand bypass, but you see the border. But we see something before cartel. So that could be an adjective. But anyway, a good word to look for is cartel. You might not understand cartel, but when we're scanning, you're looking for that word. Number two is a design consultancy. Okay, don't know. Number three, Devon Little is based in. Oh, we have the preposition in. So we know location is a good thing to look for. City, state, country, something like that. And how do we find? We look for the name Devon Lydell. All right, so let's look for cartel, design consultancy, and David Little is based in. That's what we're looking for. And if you don't understand the words, I'm not going to help you. Nobody's going to help you. You are alone. If you don't understand the words, if you don't understand the questions, you can still solve this with scanning. Now, here we go. You're scanning for the information. Right at the top, I see David Lydell. Right at the top, first line, I also see design consultancy. And also I see based. Cartel. I'm looking for, okay, I see cartel. Second sentence. Some cartels. That's a possible answer. Some cartels. Going down. Where do I see cartel again? Oh, there's a, close to the bottom, there's a word that is in bold. So up top, I see Teague in yellow, Sinaloa in bold. These are a lot of helpful clues to tell me what is the answer. What are the answers? Quick. Is there some delay? Because I don't see any answers. I see Anna Maria puts Sonolia, which is, of course, the answer to number 1. Layla, I'm completely lost. Don't worry, Layla. Difficult text. All right. So the blank cartel is one cartel trying to bypass the border. If we go back close to the bottom, you can see Sonolia cartel. Sonolia is in bold. So let's go to the start of that sentence. It says, in order to bypass the border between Mexico and the US, for example, the Sonolia cartel. Okay, that's all we need. We don't even have to, we have bypass border. 2 is a design consultancy. All right, up there. First sentence. While Devin Liddell, who heads brand strategy for Seattle-based design consultancy, Teague, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. We have design consultancy. It's in yellow. Again, on the Ielts test, they're not going to change the color. I just did that to help you. Design consultancy, Teague. And David Liddell is based in, well, again, while David Liddell, who heads brand strategy for Seattle-based design consultancies. So David Liddell, who heads, he's the manager or CEO of this company. Where is this company? Seattle-based. That means in Seattle. So the company is in Seattle. He's the head of the company. So we don't see, we see Mexico and USA. So David Liddell is based in Seattle. And Anna Maria, wrong spelling. You lost your point. Kelly, I'm sorry. So David Liddell is not a design. The design company's name is Teague. If your passage is not clear, if the text is not clear, it's because YouTube is probably lowering your resolution because of a Wi-Fi problem. So unfortunately, if there's text on the screen, you need pretty good Wi-Fi to get it clear. If there's If you got weak Wi-Fi, YouTube will downgrade your text. All right. Oh, we still have the skimming questions. All right, this is the last question of this live stream. It's this week. This excerpt is talking about the violence of the Sinaloa cartel, understanding how cartels operate, or is it talking about how to cross the US Mexican border? I mean, the passage is not. Again, Layla, I am showing excerpts. When you get the IELTS, when you get into the IELTS reading, there will be a title, there will be headings, it will be clearer. But unfortunately, I cannot show all of the passage on one screen. So I kind of just took out paragraphs. So yeah, I'm sorry for that, but you're not seeing the full text. When you see the title and the paragraphs and it's in front of you, it's a little bit easier. All right, the expert is talking about violence or understanding or how to cross the Mexican border. Let's go take a look again. Yeah, I'll put it full screen. You don't want to see my face when you're focusing on skimming. All right. I'm going to give you about 15 more seconds. You got to quickly read. You don't have time for slow reading. You got to quickly read this. That's it. So, what did you get? Well, understanding how cartels operate. 2 for me. Kelly is at 2. So I'm going to show you how I did this. So is it talking about the violence of this cartel or understanding or how to cross the US Mexican border? So when I would look at this, uh, the first sentence, he became curious as to how criminal groups endure. That's kind of a clue. Some cartels stay in business. Going down, one strategy he underlined was how the bad guys respond to change in order to bypass the border. There's nothing about going across the border. And there's nothing about the Sinaloa cartel being violent. All right. So there's nothing about the violence in number 1. I did not see any information about the violence. And number 3, I didn't see any instructions on how to cross the US Mexican border. So definitely it's number 2 would be the best answer. Sorry, Layla. You guessed 3 and then you guessed 1. It's not talking about the Sinaloa cartel violence. So again, if we go back, we can see the word violence in the first paragraph, but that's not talking about the Sinaloa cartel, which is later on. So although you see the word violence, it's not talking about violence. They tricked you. And number 3, how to cross the border. It does mention in this the ending about digging tunnels, But the general idea of that passage is not to teach. It's not about how to cross the US Mexican border. That passage is about how to understand cartels. All right. So, wow, we got through that. Skimming and scanning, essential skills. Essential. You do not spend you have 1 hour, you have no time to read everything in detail. Immediately, you go to the questions. What information I'm looking for? You go back, scanning, skimming, get that information. Uh, if you have extra time at the end, then you go back and you can spend a little more time reading in detail. But right away, skimming and scanning, these are skills you need to practice uh, to improve your score on Ielts and get band 9, perfect score. All right, your homework is like the video. I can see this video has only 1 like. Nobody likes this video right now. You go like this video. If you haven't already joined the WhatsApp group, you can find the link in the description of this video. And 3, let me know what you thought of the video in the comments section. I know some of you are watching this live right now, but there's other people that'll watch it later tomorrow. I appreciate you watching this, even though it's not live. Let me know in the comments that you watched it, and I would appreciate that. Okay. All right. I'm just going to spend a few minutes checking the chat. So if you've got any last questions or comments, now is the time. Now is the time. Yep. So, yep. Here they teach this as a technique to read faster. Yes, any IELTS school or teacher will teach these skills. Maybe we can hear about that. Thank you, Robin. Thank you for coming, Sleepwalker. Now I understand the difference between the learn and study for IELTS. Yes. Awesome comment. Awesome comment. Kelly, exactly. So, yeah, if you're learning English, you don't want skimming and scanning. All right. So, if you're learning English, you want to read and understand everything and understand the vocabulary and what's going on. IELTS, no. In IELTS, they are going to overwhelm you with a lot of information. So whether it's listening or reading, you're going to get a lot of information. And James will probably talk about the listening later. But you're getting so much information, overwhelming. And even for native speakers, it's overwhelming, too much information. So you got to have these skills to quickly decide, oh, that information's useless. That I don't need that information because they're going to give a lot. I don't need that. So you got to learn how to focus on the information you need and don't pay attention to the other information they're trying to confuse you with. And if you're learning English, yeah, you want to read it all. You want to understand it all. But for IELTS, you need these extra techniques. Very possible you get a passage, you answer all the questions, and you don't really understand the passage, right? You got the information you need to answer your questions, but you don't understand the passage. That's possible in IELTS. Anyway, Kelly, good point. I like this live stream. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Oh, please call me Robin. Yeah, I'm sure all of you use skimming and scanning especially when you're reading the news, the newspaper. Nobody has time to read so many articles. So, you're just scanning headlines. And if you read an article, sometimes you're just skimming. So, usually, a lot of newspapers, I do scanning and skimming. You do that in your language too. So, I should practice in English from now on. Well, you know, skimming, beyond, beyond IELTS, still, I would like my students to read in detail, but of course, skimming and scanning are good skills to have. Thank you very much. Thank you. But we will forget it fast. Well, with the IELTS test, you don't want to remember those articles. You want to forget the IELTS test very fast. So you're not taking the actual IELTS test is not a learning experience. Like you're not trying to learn English. That is testing. Yeah, when I need to look for exact information. We've all been students. And of course, students don't want to sit down and read everything the teacher said. So, of course, I'm going to be a lazy student. So, we all practiced skimming and scanning for our homework. We learned that in elementary school. Teacher says read 2 pages. I'm going to skim and scan, answer the questions, and then I'm going out to play. Yeah, the difference. All right. Thank you, everyone. Again, please like the video, and I'll see you in the WhatsApp group. So take care and talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.